Hello, and welcome to episode 34 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by Wibs. Say hello.
Hello.
And DrummerBot. Say hi.
Hi.
So how are you lovely gentlemen today?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing alright.
Yeah, I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm alive, ain't I? Nah, I'm doing fine.
That's all
I'm
I
doing
ask
fine.
for.
Well, as long as I have even a weak pulse, I'm here, you know.
As long as you have a voice to do the podcast, then it's probably alright.
Gonna fucking reanimate me, so you soak my head in, like, blood and kind of, like, blow through my neck hole so I can talk. Sorry, I've immediately just fucking derailed this podcast.
Well, yeah, because now we just really want to go and watch Reanimator again.
Well, yeah.
Reanimator's so good.
Right,
Can I
2
get
hour
you
break,
a
guys. Let's
pen?
come back.
Okay.
I've never seen it. I'll add it on. This is probably derailing all of our plans talking, but me and Ruth have started a. So basically, it's kind of a confession, but it's a list of films that we need to see that we haven't. But like they're like either cult films or just big films, or like just films that we really should have seen and we haven't, and it's kind of embarrassing whenever it comes up in conversation. And this list is remarkably long.
Reanimator on that list, huh?
And it involves things like... Yeah, it's not, but it will be. I'll add it on.
Yeah.
Remind me later.
Okay.
Things like Terminator 1. Neither of us have seen Terminator 1.
Oh, it is a very, very good movie, but it is very of its time.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like we've both seen the second one, which kind of makes sense. Like, Die Hard, I think I've not seen the first one of those.
Oh!
And
You're listing all my favourite movies so far.
we watched Princess Bride the other day.
That's a fantastic
which is
movie.
excellent.
It's so good.
And there's just things like that, which is like, people... And there's more, like, even more obvious ones that I just can't think of off the top of my head.
Like Citizen Kane.
Yeah, that's on there. Yeah.
I saw Citizen Kane once, thought it was shit.
Yeah, I've not got a high
I was like
hopes, to be
12 though. I'd probably like it a lot more if I saw it now.
honest. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're an adult, you can deal with the significantly slower pacing and just the style of
Ooh,
movie making from that era.
Space Odyssey 2001. We saw that
Actually,
the other
I've
day.
never seen that either.
It's
I've always
really,
meant to watch
really
it.
good. Like, we watched it on Netflix, so it's like HD, so it must have been like presumably a HD render of the original analog film. Some of the scenes, it's like, well, this was shot like last week on like a fancy like ridiculous camera. It's so pretty. The pacing
Well,
is
good
very
puppets look like
very
good
60s.
puppets forever.
Yeah, and it's just like some of the shots you could tell it was made because like the costumes and things, but like it's so beautiful. It's kind of the pacing is it's the slowest paced film I think I've ever seen. Like what happens in it could happen if it was made nowadays. It'd be about a 20-minute like short or something maybe. The pacing is so slow, but it is really good.
In fairness, the last movie I watched was Transformers. What the thing about extinction?
It's got
what's it
Grimlock
called?
in it.
Oh, with
One
the
with
dinosaurs.
Grimlock in it.
Yeah.
Which has got about 3 to 4 plots of movies in it. None of them resolve well.
Well, there's a Transformers movie, so...
It's the least bad sequel that I've seen. I haven't seen the last one though.
Okay.
It's not offensively bad.
Didn't we have an agreement about? Wasn't the last one Dark of the Moon?
It was
the last
Dark
one?
of the Moon, I think.
And if
I know that
we
was
had
at
the
least
agreement
one
that
of
if we
them.
ever get round to watching it together, if they ever say the phrase "Dark of the Moon," we just immediately have to stop watching.
That sounds about right.
I've watched it. They literally name drop Dark Side of the Moon in the movie.
But they say "Side of the Moon," not just "Dark of the Moon," because that was the issue. The title was just stupid.
Dark of
Yeah,
the Moon.
because I know they do say Dark Side of the Moon in the movie. I don't know if they say Dark of the Moon in the movie. I can't remember because I try and purge my
How
memories.
could you tell? Because it all happens at about 40 times speed.
Yeah.
It's fast-talking robots happen.
Yeah,
That's a Transformers movie. And it's just frustrating for me as an old-timer to keep up with.
Yeah. The only speaking as an old timer, the only good thing is that apparently, because I'm going to give a spoiler to the fourth Transformers movie here.
no.
Is it that it's not very good?
Shit.
That's not a spoiler at all, everyone.
Megatron is resurrected in the movie, and basically does there's a whole subplot based around it, but nothing really happens with it, and.
So all it
He's
achieves
named-
is takes away any sort of peril or consequence from any of the films, because if anyone dies, they can just be brought back to life.
Yeah, but he does get brought back, interestingly, because they bring him back and he's named Galvatron, so they're doing that whole thing.
They galvanized him.
And apparently this version is voiced by Frank Welker, the guy that voiced him in the old cartoon.
I think
that's
it should have been the guy who voiced him in Beast Wars, so we could be like, yes.
Well,
George
technically that's
Takei.
different Megatron.
No, he's like an evil George Takei. He's fantastic.
Yeah, Megatron in Beast Wars is pretty good. Yeah.
So good.
We should probably talk about the things we were going to talk
Yes,
about.
I actually wanted to talk about the Dark Imperium box set.
Oh yeah, the 40k thing.
Yeah, but we were just talking about old movies and then moved on to shitty movies. So
Well, I saw your video. I enjoyed it, as did a lot of the internet, apparently, which is good.
Yeah, apparently. It's doing an unboxing video, which was sort of a bit of a... I think I just kind of floated out there on Twitter to see if anyone would be interested, and people were like, yeah, I want to see that. And so,
it was literally at least 6 people. I guess that's the thing you could do.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Well, the response was overwhelmingly kind of positive, so I was like, yeah, we'll give that a go. And then, apparently people seem to really like it, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with the Dark Imperium box set. You get some really fun stuff in there, and I remember saying before we actually got a hold of the models in person that I thought that the Death Guard were way too fucking busy.
Yeah.
After actually getting the box in my possession, I've got to say that the HQ choices are the busiest and over-designed guys.
Yeah.
There's just too much going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what they count as, because, the way things are structured is different now.
Yeah, I'm just going to refer to them as the big fancy men.
Yeah, there's sort of characters, I guess is the way of putting it.
Yeah.
There's a sorcerer, oh fuck, I can't remember his name. The guy with the big bell.
The guy with the big bell.
And the, the Chaos Lord kind of guy that's in there.
There's so much happening.
Yeah, I mean, I have, off the bell ringer guy, I have removed one of his sensors off him to try and make him slightly less busy, because he's got all these things hanging down from him.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
I mean, I like it as a very high-quality model
Oh, yeah.
to have that much detail on it, but I still think it's a bit too much.
Yeah.
But the rest of them I think is good.
I mean, that's an improvement, because when we talked about this last podcast, the podcast before, whenever we had the original photos, but before you had it, you were saying that they all looked a bit too busy.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
In real
But,
life, they're better than the pictures.
Yes, I
Which
would say
seems
so.
to be the case with modern Games Workshop models, actually.
Yeah, I remember being all like that about the, was it Stormraven?
Yeah, Storm Raven
I remember
was,
I remember not liking the Stormraven, and then the moment I saw it in the shop, I was like, actually, that's very nice.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is about models and photograph. Maybe I just have like a weird blind spot for them.
No. I think that's been the case with a lot of stuff. Because a lot of the stuff in the Dark Imperium set I didn't really like the look of. But then we went to our local Games Workshop,
Our local GW.
which is not actually very local.
No,
And
we have to catch a bus.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's terrible. We went in there and saw the models and was like, actually quite like them when you see them in person. So that was one of the things that kind of sold us on getting the box set itself.
I
Because,
still don't like the Inceptors. They look like eggshell marines.
Eggshell mode.
Yeah.
And what I mean, like, you know, around Easter, you get those like creepy little fluffy chicks popping out of an egg. And
Yeah.
everything's kind of domed. That's what they remind me of, because everything's so domed on them.
Okay.
They're like, hi, I'm a chicken and it's Easter, but I'm the space marine chicken. I don't know why. That just makes me think of little chickens popping out.
Yeah,
of
it's intercessors and inceptors. I think the
stupid
two,
fucking
yeah.
names.
Or combined incestors.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, it's like most of the stuff is we've got it built now. The Death Guard are pretty much entirely built. I've just got a couple of base decorations to do, and at this point of recording, I have painted one Poxwalker.
Yeah, which we've been undercoating them white.
Yeah, I've not undercoated anything white
That's
in a long
really
time.
weird.
Ooh.
So strange.
So I'm actually painting the Death Guard in sort of old school Death Guard colours. So they're sort of white with, like sort of pre-heresy Death Guard colours. So white with green trims and bits of brass on them. Although the white I'm toning down to be cream, so it looks a bit dirtier and grimier.
Well, yeah, I mean, like cream, you can muck that up so easy.
Yeah.
It's a dream.
Hopefully that works, because I'm about halfway through painting the first one of those now.
Yeah, it's a bit of Devil and Mud or whatever the fuck it's referred to as now.
Oh, we've still got Devil and Mud left. So.
Oh, good. But yeah, got that some of that technical paint like Typhus Corrosion.
Oh yeah, I've been playing some of that. Yeah.
Ooh, oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
I like the effect it has. It makes it all. It makes it look like it's corroded.
Yeah, no, I was
Surprisingly enough.
kind of surprised by some of the technical paints, like, because some of them like are so specific for things that you're like, I don't think I'll ever need that. Like, there's one for doing like verdigris on stuff. Or is it verdigris? How it's supposed to be pronounced? I don't know.
Probably verdigris.
What's that?
Just
for anyone who doesn't know, not that I don't know.
Oh, when copper oxidizes and it goes green.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I just didn't know what that was called.
It's verdigris. Oh, that sounds horrible.
But yeah, there's one for doing that, and there's stuff for rust, and there's like a corrosion one that we've got.
Cool.
There's one for like a kind of pus, like Nurgle pus.
I do kind of want to play with that.
It's too bright green though. It's very Captain Planet nuclear waste.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
we've got I think it's Reichland Flesh Shade.
That's not technical paint.
That's not. No. I'm saying it's a wash, and it seems to, at least on my models, dry with a bit of a shine to it. So I think that'd just work instead of it, because it's got that kind of yellowy tone, and it's a little bit non-matte. So I think we could just do that.
I think you could use that as like a weeping saw kind of thing.
In between
This is
armor
a very
plates.
gross conversation.
It's very gross, but I mean, they're Nurgly Marines. They're pretty gross guys anyway.
You know you've painted a Nurgle thing well when someone looks at it and goes, "That's fucking disgusting. Well done."
Yeah, if someone sits there and goes, you've done a good job.
Yeah, I can barely stand to look at that. You've done a good job. But yeah, that box set, genuinely impressed by it. I was really surprised because you know how we're kind of cynical about stuff and
dead inside,
complain all the time.
constantly.
I mean, people know the name of the podcast, so
Well, yeah.
it gives it away a bit.
And so I was really surprised when we were opening it, and like we didn't have anything really negative to say. It was just, yeah, this is a good box set. There's a lot of stuff in here.
A lot of well-made stuff.
No whippy sticks.
No whippy
Yeah,
sticks.
but
we've still got our old ones, so I
Yeah.
guess we can still beat each other around the head with those.
I'm glad that other people in the comments seem to also be upset at the lack of whippy sticks.
Oh, that's
that made me
good.
happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good kit. We've only painted a few things. So you've been painting a couple of the Primaris Marines.
Primaris as my puppy wolves.
But yeah, they're pretty well detailed. The only problem I have with them is that because they are designed for this kit, they're not proper. They're not a proper kit.
Yeah.
So they're not fully customizable. So you
Yeah.
can't like say swap off shoulder pads for.
Why
other
would you
things.
want to do that? You can move their heads.
Even then, you have to still chop off a little peg on them to move the heads because it's not. They're actually designed to sit a certain way. You can totally do that, but
Yeah, I mean, we've for one of the captains or lieutenants or fucking whatever, we've got one of my old Space Wolf kits. Just popped one of the cool head with a beard on it.
yeah, one of the lieutenants that is. Yeah.
Fuck it, yeah, that works. That's fine.
But yeah, that's a minor thing in its in the sort of negative thing of that there is a limited amount that you can customize with them. You can swap out the heads for the Primaris Marines anyway, super easy.
Yeah.
The Plague Marines not so much. I mean, I have done quite a bit of customization on the Poxwalkers because you get effectively 2 sets of the same kit, so there's duplicates of everyone. So for the half that would have been duplicates, I did at the very minimum like a head or weapon swap on all of those. So there's no 2 identical ones.
Yeah.
And did some reposing here and there, just because I thought that would make it look more interesting as a group.
Yeah, well, that's a bit annoying. How many do you get? Like 10 of them?
20.
20 of them? That's quite good.
Yeah, you don't get many Death Guards. You get more Zombars.
Yeah, I think there's 7 regular Death Guard, 20 zombies, 3 special characters, like the Sorcerer, the Lord, and the bell ringer guy.
Bell end.
Yeah. You see, this is the because in the last week I've spent the entire thing assembling and painting them. I haven't been sitting there reading the rules, so even though I've been making them, I still don't remember the names of these fucking things.
I've just been painting them. I haven't even got around to the rules yet. I'm just like, I get to paint my puppets.
Oh, and a bloat drone, the little flying
fetid bloat drone.
Fetid bloat drone. So there's not that many like Space Marines on the Death Guard side, but you get a load of zombies. Which actually, I have read the rules for the zombies, and they're quite fun. Like if they kill someone in close combat, you roll a dice, and I can't remember what dice it's on. I think it's on a 5+. If they kill someone, then they just come back as another zombie model for the squad.
Nice.
Which inevitably means at some point you're going to do really well with them and go, I've run out of zombie models.
Yeah.
And then just have like a pencil sharpener as one of them or something. This is my counts as
zombie. Wouldn't be able to use that in like a legit Games Workshop tournament.
You could have an army of fucking pencil sharpeners.
What you could probably do is, if you think that's likely to happen, is just get a bunch of bases and then just stick a bit of sprue to them and say, officially, it's a Games Workshop product.
Yeah. I guess also because like if they have to kill something to be able for it to come back, you could just use the model that you've killed and just put it at the back where it probably isn't going to get close to combat.
Well, what you do is you pick up the other person's model, spray paint it.
Yeah, this is mine now.
A particular colour, and then just go, "This is mine now." It's in the rules.
You just cover it in Typhus corrosion paint. You just have a bucket of it sitting next to you.
Dunk it in there and just be like, "Fucking what?"
It's like a really extreme version of like the old games they'd have for kids, like Pogs and things, where in the
you keep them all.
Yeah, in the proper rules, it's you win, you keep the stuff. But I don't know anyone that ever played like that, because why would you risk a collection?
Yeah, that's stupid. Well, I didn't play. I just collected Pogs.
Yeah, me too.
Tarzos.
Me too.
They were great.
Tazos are a different thing.
No, they were better than Pogs.
Well, yeah, because you could build stuff out of them.
Yeah,
Sort of.
Well,
very
you
loose
could build,
definition of build.
You could jam a bunch of them together and it would just look like a medieval torture device.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you couldn't build anything that looked like anything. But you...
Yeah, actually, that's true. The definition of build is fine. The definition of something was quite broad.
Yeah. I don't know, I always remember the ones I got in Doritos where you get like the Looney Tunes guys dressed up as rock stars.
Do people remember what Tazos are anymore?
I do. I can't forget. Sometimes I awake in the middle of the night with the name on my lips.
I find it interesting that some people pronounce it Tazo and some people pronounce it Tarzo.
Who pronounced it Tarzo?
Do you have Tarzos with your quinoa, Simpson?
You don't say. You pronounce it Tarzo.
Tazos? No.
There's literally an audio record of you doing it just now.
Doing what?
Pronouncing it Tarzo.
I don't pronounce it Tarzo.
You do, though.
No, I don't.
You do. Some people... other people also do that. I've heard them do it.
What?
That's
pronounce
wrong.
it Tarzo.
I mean,
pronounce it correctly.
To be fair, I've never actually heard... like, back in the day, I don't think I really ever heard anyone say it out loud that hadn't just learned it by reading it. And everyone I knew pronounced it Tazo because all the original ones had Looney Tunes on them.
Yeah.
So they just connected it to Taz.
Yeah, was that not why it was called Tazos? Because they had pictures of Taz on them?
That's what we assumed.
I just thought they just sounded fun. I never even gave much thought to the name. I just liked the pictures.
Is there people out there who call Taz Tars?
It's Tars the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah. If anyone does, then those... I don't mean to put forth a really intense ideological statement, but those people need to be purged from humanity.
Oh, God.
The heretics will be purged.
Yeah, probably people in Tasmania pronounce it Tasmania. And Hubert. Because there's only one place in Tasmania, which is Hubert.
Hubert.
And it's the fucking worst.
How did we get onto fucking Tazos?
I don't fucking know.
Pogs, and then to collecting things, and then...
yes.
Oh, yeah, dunking models in paint.
So... Okay, what you do is you take a mallet, and then if you roll well... You get to take one of their models and then smack it really hard with a mallet and turn it into a Tarzan.
No, you use your whippy stick.
And then you belt them around the head with a whippy stick. And you give them the two-face cuts like Inigo Montoya.
How quickly do you think you get ejected from a tournament if whenever someone's
You just took in a hammer.
Well, no, whenever someone's model died, you got the whippy stick, pulled it back, and used it to just to flick it and fire it across the room.
I think maybe you get 2 models down before someone just fucking tackled you to the floor and just started like wailing on you.
Yeah, honestly,
And rightly so.
Yeah,
yes.
Because it's not just wrecking someone's like possessions. It's something that they've probably spent hours painting.
It's like taking a slingshot and just smacking up like a titan. Like, think fast. I told you to think fast. Them's the rules of the land.
Honestly, if you break someone else's titan,
I think that they should legally be allowed to murder you.
I maybe wouldn't go that far.
I will.
They're not. These people have possibility for redemption. Not like people that pronounce Tazo. They're beyond.
Tazo is the way you pronounce it, though.
It's not though.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
We're not going to get anywhere on this. Let's move on.
Not my fault. You all talk funny.
Who knows? Maybe someone from Walkers or Lays or whatever they're called in Australia.
Everyone needs to tweet Gary Lineker. He'll know the answer.
No, he lives on your side of the pond. He's biased. I don't trust his words. He's not one of us.
We'll talk. We'll find out from like sort of representative of Walker's Crisps, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's pronounced Tizo."
It's so.
It's so.
It's so. Come on, children, enjoy your so's.
It's a soft.
You can trade them,
It's a soft T and a silent A.
Yeah. I like this segment of the podcast where we talk about pronouncing things so incorrectly they're completely just unrecognisable. I like it.
At least it's an audio podcast, not like a blog where you're trying to write this down. Because I've seen I can't remember what it was. It was someone was arguing about the pronunciation of something, and then but it was all text based. They were trying to spell it differently to show how it got so confusing so quickly.
Yeah.
So is it pronounced BATH or BATH? I mean, come on, guys, let's end this for once and for all.
I can imagine someone having an argument about how you pronounce scone.
Scone.
Yeah, that might have been what it is actually, because we made scones the other day.
Yeah,
I think you'll find you made scones.
So, but it's a weird one. This is completely irrelevant to the podcast.
Oh, it's
but
fine.
It's interesting.
Dude.
Have you seen the map? Someone on Reddit made it, and there's a map of in the UK how you pronounce scones.
I've not seen that.
No.
And it's basically all of Scotland is scone, and
where did it go?
And yeah, very good. Blah blah blah. And I think Northern Ireland is very much scone, and then the rest of England and Wales is pretty much 50-50, apart from Cornwall and around the Midlands where it's scone.
Huh.
So it's not like a north-south thing. It's
just a spotty everything.
It's really weird. But yeah, Americans say scone and Australians and Canadians say scone, so I'm actually thinking that I'm wrong saying scone because... Yeah.
Well, if the Australian and Canadians are saying it, I mean, we are kind of like the chosen people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the case.
Well, we're pretty good.
But yeah, no, it's quite an interesting one. Because English accents are weird anyway. If anyone's from, anywhere else. Not so much now, but, 100 years ago, you could take, two villagers on the different side of a city you could tell where someone was from. Because their accent would change over a distance of, a few miles.
Yeah, well, to be fair, me and you were originally from Derby, and even a few, you get to the outskirts of Derby and the accent changes quite significantly.
Yeah,
it gets very broad Derbyshire, and that's
I mean, my uncle, he talks like you can't understand a word he's saying. Well, I mean, at least I can't.
Yeah.
He used to work down the pit in the
mines. I think you have done an impression a couple of podcasts ago of him.
Walk down pit.
Yeah.
It's what? Sir. Consonants.
Give me my
Try
hamster back.
some. Give me my gerbil back.
That's how weird his accent was. He pronounced gerbil as hamster.
And he would ask me to give me my hamster back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird accent quirk there.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway.
Sorry.
But yeah, so Dark Imperium, pretty decent box set.
Pretty decent.
We'll have a bit more of a play with the things, because I've heard that the actual matchup of the armies in it is fucking atrociously one-sided.
Well, shock horror.
I have heard, and I don't know the truth behind this, that the Death Guard are vastly superior to the Primaris Marines in there because, well, basically they all have the modern equivalent of Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
Like every single thing in there has it.
Helpful.
And they just do all sorts of weird shit, like,
And they can convert your models to their models.
yeah.
Or just outright destroy your models.
And
Because,
one of them can hit you and do 2 damage with its bell.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh.
not the bell ringer guy, not the big one on the back. He's just got a bell in his hand, and
He's got a
can
little
just,
tiny
he
bell.
can just twat you with that.
He's got like a little like service bell.
Yeah, and it can do
See,
2 damage.
It's not the
It
size of
doesn't-
your bell, it's how you use it, guys.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
That's the moral.
Yeah.
And the other moral
Okay.
is that Games Workshop want everyone who's just getting into it to realise that Ultramarines is a bad choice. So, like,
They've been trying to
Space Marines
phase
do
them out
fine,
for
but
years.
just don't paint them as Ultramarines. They're the worst. Sorry to anyone who has an Ultramarine army, but you made poor choices.
Oh! Well then.
Sorry.
I'm leaving that in.
Yeah, moving swiftly on. So the thing I don't quite get still, because I haven't actually seen the models in person, is I just don't quite see the point of Primaris Marines. Like,
They're long boys.
they're longer, but like, and they have more wounds, maybe?
They're tall boys.
They have 2
But
wounds.
what's the-
They have bigger guns that have longer range.
So are
They're
they
like
like
an elite
meant to be like elite versions of Space Marines?
Effectively,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. But this army that you get in the box set is just them.
Yeah, Primaris they will sometimes behave in their own little contingents of only Primaris, or they are used to back up. It depends on the chapter and what they need to do.
Okay.
My personal belief, I think I've mentioned this before, is that Primaris are effectively a soft reboot of the Space Marine line, because they didn't want to just suddenly make everyone's Marines not right
Yeah.
and make it so canonically you can use them alongside each other. But also, they kind of explicitly state that, yes, they are sometimes just used in Primaris-only kind of batches. And there's even little things like a regular Marine can just undergo a procedure to become a Primaris Marine.
Yeah, they call
So-
it leggy stretch.
Yeah, they put you on a rack and stretch him.
They stretch him. And
Armour
he's
and
like,
all,
"Oh."
just everything, just stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that works. Ceramite is incredibly malleable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I've heard.
It's canon. And, like, you typing that comment right now, you should be agreeing with me. Honestly, because I'm the canon queen over here.
They have done this whole thing where they've sort of made it so that, yeah, they can release... They can sort of forget that regular Marines exist if they want, but not, like, not invalidate them.
Okay.
Which I think is probably a sensible thing. Basically what I'm saying is Primaris Marines are the Star Trek reboot of 40k.
I see.
It doesn't invalidate what you like, it's just another thing that runs alongside it.
Okay. And it's slightly worse.
Well, okay, yeah, the thing kind of breaks down there because, yeah.
Anyway. Dark Imperium, good.
Good.
Value
Value.
is good value.
I do actually have another kind of Warhammer-related thing to talk about, briefly.
Oh.
So, a couple of weeks back now, I think it was, there was a big sale on Steam.
Ah, yes.
With
With
the Warhams.
Yeah, with all the Warhammer stuff. It was what was it, the sale of skulls or something?
Oh,
I
the
don't remember.
sails to the sail throne.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was something to do with skulls, I forget. And they not...
40k, something to do with skulls.
Well, it wasn't.
Oh,
It
Warhammer.
wasn't just 40k. It was all the Games Workshop related games.
So skulls.
So all the fantasy stuff and like Blood Bowl and Chainsaw Warrior and stuff like that was all on sale as well. And loads of it had updates that included like extra unlocks in it. Like they added the Chaplain class in Deathwing. They added like some new skins and things for some other games. And they added like achievements and trading cards for some things. But they basically just updated a load of the games and had them all on sale. So there was quite a lot of decent stuff on there on sale, but of course, you know, as you would be able to tell from looking at our YouTube channel, we already own most of them.
Yep.
But I did buy
Even
a
I
couple.
owned enough of them that there wasn't anything in the sale worth me getting.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just something, if you have a passing interest in Games Workshop, you will just eventually obtain all of the good games.
Oh, thoroughly, yeah.
So what I did was, instead of obtaining the good games, I obtained the bad ones.
Okay.
That sounds like something you'd do.
So I bought 2 games in the sale. One I haven't played yet, which is the Deathwatch game that I hear is not good. But I haven't played it yet. The other one was a Warhammer Fantasy game called Arcane Magic. Now it cost 70 pence.
Okay.
So,
Reduced
so I
from...
it was a couple of quid.
Yeah, okay.
The thing is, there was actually two different versions you can buy. One was like 30p.
You went deluxe.
I went for the deluxe version because
40p more, you're worth it.
well, the other version has like microtransactions in it, and the 70p version didn't. So I was like, you know what?
Fuck it, yeah.
I'll just do it. And it's just a turn-based thing where you play as a wizard. I think the default one's a bright wizard, and I can't remember what the other one is.
Wait, I think I've seen some screenshots of this. It looks like Guise of the Wolf.
Yes.
Yes.
What? It was a mobile game, and they've now it got ported.
That's not selling me on it.
And the models look like up-res texture versions of a PS2 model.
Yeah, it's not super bad. But I mean, I've seen the models, and I know that you're lying. They look way worse than that.
I don't know. I think I'm talking like an early PS2 game. I'm talking about those PS2 games that were just effectively higher res versions of PS1 games.
Yeah, PS2 games didn't look as good as how we remember them now because it was quite a long time ago.
Yeah, and early there is a vast difference between early PS1 and later PS1.
Yeah. Oh,
like
painfully so.
Some of the stuff that was on it later. Like, I mean, hell, something like Final Fantasy X looks pretty good. Actually, Final Fantasy X kind of broke the PS2 a bit. That's why it has frame rate issues. But like early PS2 looks pretty rough if you go back to it. But anyway, so it's like a turn-based game. You have cards for your moves, which you'd think would be like a kind of shuffled kind of thing that you get random cards, but no, you just have cards, you assign them. And these cards, the design of the cards, I'm surprised Blizzard hasn't like knocked on their door and give them a cease and desist because the design is very similar to the Hearthstone cards.
Well, they've been kind of like always back and forth about who's stolen from who. With Games Workshop and Blizzard. So,
yeah. There's a lot of theft either way, I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
But yeah, so I went into this game like thinking, oh, maybe we can make a video about this. I don't think we're making a video about this because it is too bad.
I think that's fair.
Wow. And you've played some shit.
Yeah. And it's really boring shit as well.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
It's not even entertaining.
Really bad shit is fine because it's entertaining.
Yeah, you get to a certain point and then it just becomes like Ride to Hell Retribution and you can't look away.
Yeah. The unshitty valley, if you will.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty gross, but you're not wrong.
But yeah, it starts off with a tutorial, and this tutorial is one of those worst kind of tutorials where it doesn't allow you to do anything but what it tells you to do. To the extreme that you can't even click on, say, a menu button just to observe something if it's not what you want to click. And it takes you through an entire game where you can only click what it tells you to click. No deviation whatsoever.
Yeah, I would have pretty much put it down at that point, because how fucking dare you?
It also broke halfway through the first time.
Oh.
So I couldn't even click on like the menu to restart because it wouldn't let me click on anything.
I'm wondering why it's 70p, you know, like wow.
I then got through it and got into the next one, and it's just this really, really basic, just you have so many gems per turn, and that's like your amount of your action points basically.
So it's Hearthstone.
It is kind of like if you crossed Hearthstone with something like
dog shit.
I'm trying to think of the best, almost like that War Machine game. Which also increases a level of shit to it to kind of be indicative of its quality.
Oh, dang.
It's bad. Don't play Warhammer Arcane Magic. It is a bad game.
Not even funny bad.
It's just... I played it for... I played a handful of levels of like the actual game and was just like, yeah, I'm done with this. It's not entertaining. It's not funny bad. It's just... ugh. But I did play another game that's much better, which is that I got back into playing Warframe.
I've wasted a lot of time playing Warframe. I mean, that was back in the day, because you have, like, ships and stuff now.
Oh, yeah, when we first played it, like, there was no...
There wasn't ships, it was just a menu and click on planets.
Yeah.
Rather than having the fancy ship interface.
Yeah, like, half the shit that's in it just isn't there.
Yeah.
And we played a lot of it, like...
Is that the free one?
Yeah. Because I had a look, and we played, between the two of us, we played 200 hours of the game.
Yeah, fair bit.
So we were like, okay. Like, going back to it, you kind of assume that when you're going to go back to a game you played a lot of, that there's going to be a little bit of a culture shock, because you are effectively going into end game stuff, and you've forgotten how to play the game. So that's kind of an issue. But I was not prepared for how much nonsense there is in that game when you go back to it. Like, the convoluted menus, like, I go back and it's like, okay, so I've got swords and guns and warframes and a sentinel companion. These all have individual upgrade mods that
you can apply and remove.
And, like, how much you can have, like, scales with the level. And I've got a lot of things maxed out, so I've got so many mods attached, and everything individually levels. And there's a foundry where you collect items to craft stuff, and I've got, like, stuff half done, and I'm, like, halfway through quest lines, and I'm just...
It's like if you went back and played WoW now.
I'd say it's worse than WoW, because WoW, as it's gone on, has got more streamlined, so that you can kind of jump back into it, and there's a lot of classes have kind of been boiled down to only have about 10 abilities now.
Well, I have a marksman hunter who has, like, 6.
Yeah. 10 useful abilities, what I should say. Than...
Well, no, just about 10 abilities.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
sure.
some classes have been really hacked the fuck down.
Yeah. So that's become easier. Warframe, not so much. Though they did add a whole thing, I think they're called Archwings, where you go and gain these kind of wings that attach to your Warframe, so you can fly through space now and shoot shit, which is quite fun. Because if you don't know, in Warframe you
fly through space and shoot shit.
You play as these people who have these things called Warframes, these like mech suits.
You play as like a Tenno.
Yeah, they're called Tenno, and I think they are just humans underneath.
Is it an Australian game?
Tenno.
And yeah, you there's a bunch of factions, and it's set in our solar system, but like in like the future where everything's gone to shit, and like everyone looks kind of human.
I was literally sitting there going, how do I say that?
More to shit. The shit has continued to went.
The shit has continued to went.
Yes.
I really want to see.
I want that on a t-shirt.
In the not too distant future, where all the shit has gone to went. One man refuses to speak English properly.
The first thing to go in the comic apocalypse was syntax. But anyway, yeah, it's like in our solar system, but everything's continued to be shit
to went.
And everyone sort of seems to be like sort of mutated humans. Like one of the factions are all like cloned.
They're like weird like clones. Like you stick a human face in like a half chewed up cola jelly bean. That's what they are. And they give them toothpick legs. That's kind of
and the Tenno who are the people who use these warframes
are ripped and shredded and like probably have like eat all the kale and
they seem to be human inside
clean
as well.
living or something.
And you just go around doing these little missions, and it's sort of a multiplayer game where you're just playing like cooperative of like 4 people together and just go and do these missions and gradually work through the planets. And I think there is PvP, but I've just never done it.
Yeah, I'm not interested in PvP.
And yeah, it's a fun little kind of time waster game. I don't know.
It takes a billion hours to actually understand half of what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those games that actually when you try and you think about what there is in the game and what there is to do, you go, I don't know. It sounds really boring. That you just collect blueprints and resources to build
that take you days to make. Yeah,
that you just collect to build new guns and new warframes and stuff, who have new abilities because they've got the kind of, nowadays, it's very associated with MOBAs where you've got like 4 abilities that you just trigger. Although they're not on cooldowns; they're just on energy that you collect throughout the level. But yeah, I've been having quite a lot of fun unlocking the new stuff, like say these archwings that you can fly through space and stuff, which is quite fun. Reminds me of the old cartoon Centurions that no one seems to remember when I talk to them about it.
I certainly can't remember.
Nope, no
Do you remember Centurions, Matt?
Nope.
Yeah, no one does.
What was it about? And don't say Centurions.
Centaurs.
It was about these guys, one of which had a bitchin' mustache.
Is that his character?
Who they did. They'd like. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. They'd take on whatever the villain of the week was. I can't remember if they had like a consistent villain or they had like a different one each week. I honestly don't remember.
I can hear typing from my mouth.
Yeah,
I'm googling this.
I'm image searching it just to get it.
Fair enough.
No,
And
never saw that.
Yeah, they have these suits that have all these like holes on them that like bits of. Like, it's not even really a mech suit, but like these attachments kind of go to, so they'd like turn into like a, like this. They could have like a kind of plane suit or a bike suit.
Their suits look a bit like Lego.
Yeah, I think there were toys for them, and it was just a
shock horror.
Toys.
Yeah, and they're very much like thinking back. Yeah, they're very much just to sell toys that you can just attach.
Pretty much like 90% of cartoons when we were growing up were just. Well, we want to sell these toys, let's just make a cartoon.
Yeah, but the whole thing of having, like, a kind of suit that then attaches wings to it and then they can fly, just reminds me of Centurions. And this is possibly the only time anyone will talk about Centurions ever on any podcast. And that makes me kind of sad, because...
Well, I mean, if it helps, we can talk about Biker Master and Mars some more.
No.
Okay.
You've used up your quota for that.
Oh.
It's been in 2 titles of podcasts, that's too much. But the
I'm going to
interesting...
make my own podcast
now.
about Biker Master and Mars.
Yeah. If you want, you go do that.
Yeah.
But no, the interesting thing about Centurions and the why I always remember it is because I had a single VHS that had like 2 episodes on it. And so it was like a part of my childhood, but I think I only ever saw it on TV like once. I have no idea where this VHS came from.
It's a haunted VHS tape.
Did I ask for it? And if so, why? Because I didn't know what it was.
Part of the pact that you made when you received it was to forget.
Maybe.
Oh, they had like an orangutan or something.
Really? That wasn't in the 2 episodes that I had. Or maybe it was, I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
I just image searched it, so I know nothing apart from the pictures.
Well, at this point, I think you are, like... Given the fact that I have never met another human being that knows what Centurions are, as far as I'm aware, I am the world expert on it, and having Google searched it once, you're now the second leading expert on it.
What about the people who made it?
I think they've forgotten. They probably drank to forget. I don't remember it being very good.
I was going to say, did you enjoy it? Or you just know of it?
You're just a kid watching all sorts of garbage.
I was a kid. You watch all sorts of shit as a kid.
I remember watching Brum.
Oh, Brum was amazing. Don't categorise that with all this other rubbish.
Yeah, no.
And Brum was just a bit creepy.
What I love...
It'd go out, and then it would steal things. Well, no, people would give it shit. And then the guy would just come in and go... And not think that this thing is haunted, or that something fucky is going on, and just go, oh, look, there's a chocolate bar in the back of Brum's seat. Yeah, that's normal. And then he just walk off. He's not frightened. He's not like, who's breaking into my fucking workshop at night and leaving shit in this car?
Do you know what
is happening?
The absolute best
I'm going to call you
about...
out, Matt. You're going to mention Robot Wars, aren't you?
Yes.
I knew what you were going to say.
My favourite thing about Brum is that the guy that actually built the Brum car... Because if you don't know, because I realised I didn't mention this, Brum is a British television series where there's
about a car that goes on adventures and nobody ever finds it weird that a possessed demon car is just frolicking through the streets, stealing people's children. It's scary!
It's like a miniature car that was... It's a real thing. Like, they built this model and it drives around. It's like remote control.
Headlights are eyes. It sees forever.
You have a thing about Brum, don't you?
I don't like it.
But anyway, the actual remote control Brum was built by a guy called Rex Garrard, who then went in to do Robot Wars. So
But I don't think he ever I don't think he ever submitted Brum into Robot Wars.
He did not, and that always upset me.
Because let's face it, Brum would have wiped the floor with literally every other robot in there, because it's the most terrifying, soul-destroying creature.
Well, because the thing is, I love that fact of the that's the guy, because whenever I mention that to people, they just look at me with that blank expression of, why do you fucking know the name of the guy that made Brum?
Because his last name sounds a bit like Garage.
And then I go on to point out that because I think he built Recyclops in the first season of Robot Wars.
Okay, good name.
And then I think the one he did after that I think it was called Cassius, and that was the one that was sort of credited with being like the origins of the Shremek self-writing system that it had by accident, because it just had a huge like powered flipper on it, and then when it got flipped over, he'd just use it and it catapult itself into the air. It was so powerful, and then land back on its wheels.
Okay, that's pretty rad.
And then that just changed. It changed the whole meta of Robot Wars.
I think they should have given Brum one of those flippers. It's just like flinging itself down the street.
Now, what they should have done,
the unstoppable ball of death.
what they should have done is done what happened with the next big meta change of Robot Wars when huge disc weapons came in. Just mix Brum with Hypno Disc. I think that'd be amazing.
Brum. Oh god.
You know, you have a conversation and you realise that at least like 60% of the people listening to it are being alienated.
Yeah.
At least 60, you say. Okay. A third of the podcast is being pretty alienated right now.
Yeah. So Matt, do you want to talk about some stuff while I just sit here and think about Rex Garrod and my shrine to him?
Yeah. Oh.
Please change the subject, Matt. Please.
Is that why it keeps you out so much? You've got like the whole wall in your house with like models of Brum.
Yeah.
And you just turn them round every now and then, so Snipe just gets freaked out by him.
Yeah. I put cloths over them and stuff when it gets to night time. I just can't deal with it.
All joking aside, I actually don't give a shit about Brum. I always thought I never liked it.
My brother was obsessed with Brum. But then again, my brother's first word was car. So,
Fair enough.
interesting true story. Modern day does not give a fuck about cars at all.
Yeah, no. Well,
Doesn't give a shit.
I mean, hell, I used to be big into motorsport when I was a kid. I used to go to the British Grand Prix every year, and no, I just don't give a shit.
Yeah. So, Matt, please
Cool story.
rescue us from this brumness.
Let's move on to exercise, but not really.
Okay,
Pokemon Go.
Okay, Pokemon Go's fine.
Yep.
Because that's like gaming
I know.
disguised.
Yeah,
as, like,
exactly. I just thought
exercise
I'd
disguise.
make you wee yourself a little bit before we move on.
Are you kidding? I was contemplating going out for a run today, and then I realised that I got to bed at like 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep because I was feeling ill. So I thought maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
But yeah, they've done the legendaries.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, with all Pokemon Go Fest, which was a fun time,
yeah.
wasn't it? That was good.
Yeah, but I mean the plus. If I guess most people might know, I don't know. But it didn't work in any possible way.
Yeah, I mean they did a big event in Chicago, Pokemon Go Fest. Servers were completely unreliable. Everyone there was like the entertainers there were severely cringy, and it got so bad that they gave everybody who went a refund, $100 worth of Pokecoins, and a Lugia each.
Which is is pretty much a please don't sue us.
Some people are still suing, but whatever.
Yeah.
So it in short, didn't go very well for Niantic.
Yeah.
No, but it did. I think it might have actually, because there wasn't that many people who went, and then for everyone they put on this like event where everyone got like double XP and double like the distance you had to walk to hatch things was like down by like to a third, so like 3 kilometer ones were then 1 kilometer.
Yeah,
And you got twice as many like candies from whenever you caught something,
and Stardust,
and Stardust, twice as many when you sent them to the meat grinder.
Yes,
It's great. I got like so many good Pokemon in that 2 couple of weeks. I got a Gyarados and I'm halfway to my next one.
Dude, nice. I still haven't got my Gyarados.
Because you were getting so you'd usually get 3 candies for where each time you catch one.
Yeah.
And then I guess most people have played, but yeah, you get 3 candies to catching a Pokemon, 1 for sending it back to the meat grinder thing, which is pretty much what I'm like meat grinder. Like there's no better way of explaining it.
Yeah.
And then so that's 4 candies for each Magikarp you catch, and you need 400 to get Gyarados.
Yep.
But in this event, you doubled up, so you got 6 for catching it. And then if you use, they've put in new berry things, power up things, which meant you doubled your candies when you catch them. So you were getting 12 candies each time you caught one
Yeah.
instead of 3. Yeah, you only need to catch like 20 of them.
But yeah, so apart from the Pokemon Go's, you been up to much, Matt?
Mostly, I'm sort of weirdly on holiday, but not really. I'm house sitting. So when we first came to France, this story will interest no podcast listeners, but you guys might find it interesting.
Okay.
When we first came to France, we stayed in an Airbnb for the first month while we were looking for a house, and we've kind of kept in touch with them. And they're kind of like our adoptive French parents. When we go around for tea every now and then, they check that we were all right. It's quite nice.
That's really
but they've
lovely.
gone. We said when we left, like, oh, you know, if they had a dog and 3 cats. Although really sad, the dog died a couple of weeks ago, so we can't play with the dog, which is really sad. But we said when we left, we're like,
but...
if you want anyone to house sit for you while you're away, that we're around so we can do it. Thinking that it'd be a nice offer, but I mean they're like, I say parents' age as if everyone's parents are the same age, but I don't know, 50 something probably.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, they must have gone on holiday at some point in the last 20 years. They probably have a friend or someone who they have over to do that sort of thing. But then, like, a few months later, they text us and go, oh, we're going on holiday in August if you want to house sit for us. We're like, oh, cool. So, yeah, it's great. We're living in this big, like, 4-bedroom giant house thing with, like, a garden and a garage and cats and... Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah, we feel like proper
pretty
grown-ups. Because this house is absolutely massive. It's like, it's ridiculous. There's like, 4 bedrooms and then like a couple of spare rooms and 2 bathrooms and giant living room, dining room thing with a huge table. Hopefully we'll get some board game action on it.
Nice.
So yeah, and they said like, oh, invite all your mates around. There's loads of space and make the most of it. So it's not like we have to like pretend to be quiet and then like they said make the most of it and invite mates around. So we've got some mates coming around this weekend. So, yeah, I kind of feel like I'm on holiday.
Yeah,
so I've had to like commute into the office to get on the podcast.
What I most like about that story is that at one point you were saying you feel like it makes you feel like an adult, but you also used the term redonkulous.
Adults use the word redonkulous. It's a French term, actually. I just don't think you'd know about it.
Oh, okay.
Also, he has a girlfriend, but she goes to another school.
So yeah, I'm so very warm at the moment because it's back to being quite warm here, and I've had to like shuttle things about to move to here and then bring like loads of bags worth of stuff. Because it's like we're there for like 2 weeks, and we're like, well, it's only going down the road, so we'll just take a few pairs of clothes and things. We can cook pairs of like pants and socks and
Pairs of clothes,
t-shirts and stuff. Highly coordinated outfits, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful.
And we're like, I say down the road, but then we're like, oh, actually, they're French. They don't have a kettle. So if you want tea, we have to like boil a saucepan. Like, nonsense.
Oh,
so I came back to get the kettle, and then managed to forget to take the tea bags back. So I had to come back here to get tea. It's just like, it's just like there's so much things that you just have around your house. Where it's like, 'cause it's like it's a holiday, but it's not really a holiday. So it's not like we want to just go into holiday mode and do without things. It's like we are just at home, but just at a different home. So we still want like tea and things. So it's like, so we had to shuffle back and forwards, which has been exhausting.
Oh, you poor buggers.
Yeah, I'm getting in a bit of I've still been playing with this game development stuff, but I'm getting in a little bit of a rut with it and just finding it struggling to focus a bit. So I'm like, okay, now I'm just going to treat this 2 weeks as a bit of a holiday.
Yeah.
Well,
that makes
especially
sense,
where it's warm and cool down from all of the not working I've been doing.
Sometimes from stuff like, a little bit of a break from something you've been doing that is getting a bit frustrating.
It's like, I don't know if you get in it's a similar sort of rut, but it's just like you feel like you have to do something. Like, I don't know if you get the same with art or whatever, and you're like, oh, I need to do this thing, but you just don't want to for whatever reason, but then you don't, even though the thing that you should be doing is really, like, technically easy to do, or not easy to do, but you know what I mean, it would be easy for you to sit and to do it, and then you don't do it, and then you feel really guilty about not doing it, and you're like, well, if I'd spent, like, the last hour working instead of faffing, I'd feel so much better, but I've just spent the last hour doing nothing.
You have pretty much just described, and I don't want to speak for Snipe here, but I think you've pretty much described the last 20 years of both of our lives pretty effectively there.
I'd say, 25. Maybe.
Yeah, I've been getting into, which I think is, everyone who is like self-employed or whatever must get into it like that way. Because if you've got a job where you go and sit in an office or whatever, or go do a shift at work doing whatever you're doing, you have that shift there where you either work hard or you don't, whatever, depending what your job is. But at least then you're like, right, this is my time, I'm being paid from this time, so therefore at the end of this I can stop and turn off.
Yeah,
Whereas-
working at home is basically like, I am constantly in my place of work, and now I am constantly freaking the fuck out because I'm currently not working.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why a lot of YouTubers, once they've reached a certain degree of successfulness, quite a lot of them will go and rent an office somewhere so that they can have that I'm at work, I'm not at work divide.
Yeah, so my first solution to this was I tried to like write like a daily schedule where I was like, okay, in the morning I do this and in the afternoon, but that lasted about 2 days.
Yeah.
So my next solution is to look in, because we've got, between the house, we've got like 3 laptops, just like from like old laptops, but like all of them are like, the most modern of which is like 6 years old, I think. So it doesn't really work anymore. And mine has Maya, which is even older than that. It's 2011. No, so that's 6 years. Okay, maybe 10. I can't remember, something like that. But I decided, because I had my gaming PC, I didn't need a laptop especially. I thought I'd try Linux on it a few years ago.
Yeah.
And sorry to anyone who likes Linux, but Linux, I just find it god awful.
That's fair enough, dude.
It just doesn't seem to. If you just want it to do something nice and easy, you have to like learn how to do it in the console, which I know is probably easier and better if you know it all. But every time you want to do a new thing, you have to then look up how to do it. And it's like, I'd just rather click a button for this to work. And it's just, like, I could do it, probably. Like, learn all the console commands and everything. But I'm just like, well, the kind of the whole point of, like Ubuntu, I'm using Ubuntu because I figured it was easy. And the point of that is that it gives you a nice graphical interface in front of it, so you don't have to dive into the extremes. But it's just, things like just copying files takes ages and then sometimes doesn't. And if you delete things, it doesn't really delete them until later, so you have to like hold shift. There's just some things in it. I'm just like, this is just not user friendly in any possible way. So I've been looking to get a new laptop, because then I was like, I can go and sit in a cafe, or I've got a friend who runs a cafe I can sit in, hopefully without spending any money, or like go somewhere else and try and sit and do work somewhere else to get away from the whole. But then it involves spending money on a laptop, which I don't have. So
yeah, I mean, I think what you should do is go and buy a hat. A hat that you maybe don't necessarily like.
Okay.
And then whenever you put the hat on, that means you're working.
Oh, work hat. Okay.
A work hat.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you give yourself a uniform.
The issue with that is that it's really fucking warm here.
Okay, then face paint.
Okay.
Put on makeup.
A name tag.
A name tag.
A name tag.
Yes, I could do a name tag. But then I'd have to start wearing clothes around the house. Maybe that's the start of the problem.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, well, you don't need to wear clothes to pin a name tag to you, dude.
Maybe,
there are ways.
Maybe if you're wearing trousers, you're at work.
Okay.
Okay, I can't even say that there is not a force on earth that would make me work in fucking trousers. Pajama pants, running bottoms, all the fucking way.
I was using... I was not talking about smart trousers.
Oh, just trousers in general.
I was talking about them as a general term.
Oh, maybe he could have a work thong.
Or maybe even depending on what helps you concentrate. Maybe when the trousers come off, it's work time. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe. But anyway, the moral of the story is that I'm taking a holiday from my not doing anything.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So that's been quite nice. I don't have much else to say. I did see. Have you got any opinions on the? This is highly current news, ladies and gentlemen. Nintendo's new SNES Classic that they have either announced or have started selling. I can't remember.
Yeah, you mean the one where they shipped out about 6 consoles?
No, it's slightly more. I think it was 6 for the NES Classic, and I think there's at least 11 for the SNES Classic.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I got that wrong.
I don't know. I seriously don't know if it's been as bad as it was with the NES Classic.
Honestly, it gets me so genuinely fucking angry. Like, on Reddit, I've seen, like, pictures, like, taken from people's, like, Instagram of just scalpers who just like, oh yeah, look at my 300, like classics, like, consoles that is approximately 800,000 times more than Nintendo actually released to the public. But, yeah, I really don't understand Nintendo's resistance to have enough of an item made.
Yeah.
That's really, really, I just think it's fucking stupid.
Apparently the pre-orders go up later this month.
Yeah, and they're going to have like 11, like Matt said.
Yeah. From what I have gathered, from what I've heard about it, it's pretty much, it's going to be very similar to the NES Classic.
I mean, they've promised it won't be, but...
Yeah.
This is Nintendo we're talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So it could be excellent, and they could be brilliant, or it could be terrible. And it's kind of...
This is the thing. I'm sure it's a fantastic little console that they've done. I'm sure it's great.
Have you seen the games on it?
No.
Some excellent games.
Well, the thing is, it's got Star Fox 2 on it, which is ridiculous because that game was never released.
That's pretty cool.
If I remember rightly, like it was completely finished, but it would have come out like at the very tail end of the SNES's life cycle, and they wanted to have the N64 one, which is called Lilac Wars over here. They wanted that to be the big thing.
Is that why it didn't? Because I was like, if it was finished, why wasn't it released?
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. It was just going to be too close to the release of Lilac Wars.
Okay.
Or Star Fox 64, as I think the rest of the world calls it.
I'm hoping that they're going to do, like, putting you guys off, what they did with the NES Classic, where they, like, a lot of shops were just like one per customer.
They'll have to, I assume.
Yeah, because that was a fucking nightmare.
Although,
and I feel really bad for anyone who, like, because I mean, I would like to own one. Of course, I would. I'm a gamer. It's kind of, it's in my interests. But fuck off, am I queuing up or anything like that? I shouldn't fucking have to.
I want to click a button on my computer and have the things delivered to my house.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of people do, because it's just too much stress and bullshit and. Oh my god, it's like, don't give scalpers money. Don't give them business. Fuck!
So, the interesting thing that I notice is that... So, presumably this is going to be available in the UK.
Yes.
And indeed, the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
So, this is not going to look anything like what we think of as a Super Nintendo.
The PAL version looks completely different to the NTSC version, yes.
I did not know that.
From what I believe, because I saw pictures of like pre-order stuff, and the SNES in Europe looks like a European SNES, whereas in America it looks dramatically worse. And you get the controllers with the colourful buttons in Europe, like it's supposed to be for the European version. Citation needed, but I'm sure I've seen pictures of both versions.
Yeah, I've just seen it.
That is super cool.
And the European version is so much prettier than the American version.
It's so cute.
Oh yeah. Well, the European version, if people don't know, the European Super Nintendo is based on the same like physical box shape as the Super Famicom, so it looks very, very similar to the Japanese one. In fact, it uses the logo for the Super Famicom as well, which I don't think the American one did. Which is weird, so you end up in the situation where I think the only real place that has the purple buttoned Super Nintendo is America. But the rest of us have the what looks like the Super Famicom.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm looking at the box for the SNES Classic, and it's like 20+1 games pre-installed. It's like that shit your nan buys and she thinks it's a Wii from like Home Bargains.
Very much so.
Yeah.
This comes preloaded with like 4 billion really good games that aren't totally complete knockoffs or hacks of other ROMs.
Yeah, but the difference is
there's of course.
Those other games come with like 20,000 like NES games that no one ever wanted, or like unofficial
clones of like bad clones of other ones.
Whereas the Super Nintendo Mini comes with like fucking Link to the Past, Mario Kart, and F-Zero. Mario World.
It's just this many games in one. I'm like,
Oh shit! I'm just looking at the list now.
It's great, isn't it?
I hadn't actually fully gone through this. Is there a single bad game on here?
Doesn't look like it.
Shit. There's like Castlevania 4, Mega Man X, Yoshi's Island,
Final Fantasy 3.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 3, Earthbound, Mario RPG. Fucking hell, like obviously I'm not like the hugest fan of a lot of these games, but like these are the games you'd want on this. Jesus. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, cross. Sorry.
Don't make me want one.
Yeah,
I just got really distracted by that.
Yeah, like I was a bit because I was like, well, you can just emulate the games as long as you legally own real copies of it, etc., etc. Blah blah blah. But you can very easily emulate like all of the games. But I still kind of want one.
I want one too.
Yeah.
But
and also, I never even had a Super Nintendo. My first console, I had a PC, which my dad did a few things, had like a few games on, because I remember sitting and playing Doom with my dad back when he used to play computer games. But we didn't have a console until the PS1, so I missed out on all the Nintendo goodness pretty much. But I still want one. It's still like incredibly nostalgic, even without actually ever owning one.
Nah, I hear ya. I had a ColecoVision with a PC peripheral.
What?
I did actually have a Super Nintendo at one point.
All right, rich boy.
Hopefully, it won't be a shit show in terms of like delivering them.
Yeah, I hope they do. They do a lot better this
I don't
time.
know how much they cost. Apparently, it's $80 according to the American site. But
so it's probably going to be about £80 then.
No, probably about 90 actually now.
Yeah, probably.
Apple has done that. Some is it iPads? I can't remember. Some Apple products are more in pounds than they are in dollars now.
That's just wrong.
Which is just...
Well, so are Apple products, but
yeah.
She says having an iPhone.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I'm very, very cranky about, because I've had Androids and they don't last very long. They just kind of eat themselves. Whereas, like, unfortunately, iPhones are the ones that last, and I hate it. I hate it so fucking much.
I think it's probably just that our circle of friends have just like generally had really bad experiences with Androids.
And like Dicko, which is really funny, like he has had the literal worst luck I have ever seen with Android phones.
I don't think I've been in his presence when he's had a working phone for about 6 years.
It does frustrate me on a very fundamental core level of my soul that, having used Androids and iPhones, I prefer iPhones. That bothers me on a fundamental level.
I like how you can do things with an Android phone, but then again, that doesn't last very long in my personal experience.
Yeah, on a similar topic, so I've been having a bit of an eye out for laptops, just because, you know, I can dream. But like, just being in my FNAC store, which is, I don't know what it stands for, FNAC. It's like, I think I mentioned it to you guys before. It's basically, it's like if Amazon were like a shop, real shop.
Yeah.
So it sells laptops and computers and stuff, but it also sells like gaming computer stuff, so like mechanical keyboards and gaming mice and things. But then it also sells comic books and board games and like, but then stationery stuff, and then like small electronics like kettles and things. And then it's also got like a big book section and a big music section, and yeah, it's very weird. But so I was playing around with laptops, and oh man, playing around with MacBooks. They're really nice to use. Honestly, and that was the last thing. I was like, okay, I have an iPhone, and like with you, like I just prefer how it works, and that annoys me. But it seems like less hassle. And when I had a job, I was like, you know what, it's not actually much more to get an iPhone than a high-end Android. Fine. And then I did exactly the same. I had that, and then I got my iPad first, because I was having similar frustrations with my Android tablet, which was a weird Sony wedge-shaped thing, which was quite cool for the first 6 months, and then stopped working. And then, so I had those two, but I was like, but I can at least say that I have a PC, because that's all I do is game on it, and like, obviously PC and Windows is just better for that. But now playing with laptops, I'm like, ooh, I mean, I wouldn't ever get one because they're ludicrously expensive, but like, if someone was to give me a MacBook, that would be my laptop of choice, which is even more, somehow that's like even more upsetting than with the phones and tablets, because I feel like that's like, I've crossed a line now.
I think you have, yeah.
And I know I'm not going to go out and splash the money on one, because to get a 13-inch MacBook, which is only a dual core, because the 13 only comes in dual core, and I don't want 15, I want it to be a bit more portable. To get with the cool, like if I want to get like with the cool touch bar thing, which they've instead of having a row of function keys, they've got like a small, like wide OLED display, like touchscreen display. So it's like context sensitive touchscreen, like function keys, which is it works really well. So it's like when you're in like, you know, photo editing stuff, you can like change colours on there, and you can just change brightnesses, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's got like Touch ID like the phones, so you can like unlock it with your fingerprint and use Apple Pay and stuff. So I was like, oh, but then like the cheapest one of those is like over $2,000.
Yeah, that's too much.
Which I was like, well, I mean, I was looking to spend maybe 10% of that on a laptop, maybe 20% at a massive push, and even then I'm like, well, I can't really afford this. So yeah, they're crazy expensive, but they're so nice to use. I don't know if you guys have ever actually had a play. Like, I've no idea how to use like, I've never had a Mac, I have no idea how the software works, but just like navigating around on it is just so smooth, and just like just simple things like scrolling it and things, and just like the really basic things which you really don't need an expensive computer to do, just seems to all work so nicely. I'm like,
I love it how you just you don't need an expensive computer to do this, but they cost like £2,500.
exactly. Like, all the things that make it feel nice, just like how the cursor moves around and how you can scroll web pages really smoothly, which just doesn't ever, like, scrolling web pages with a trackpad on a laptop never seems to quite work how you want it to, and like zoom,
it's
zooming and things. And it's like you really shouldn't need to spend £2,000 on a laptop to get things like that to work.
Yeah, this is true.
But that seems to be apparently what I have to do, but I'm not going to do it.
No.
But yeah, don't play with one, because... And then I went and played with like a £700 or £800 laptop, like a Windows laptop, and I was like, this just feels so cheap and flimsy. It's like, no! My brain!
It's started.
Yeah, it has. Laptops, man, you have to spend a lot of money to get one that doesn't feel shit. So that's my dilemma, although it's not, because I'm not actually going to get any of them, so it's not really it's a hypothetical dilemma. Which is the most irrelevant kind of dilemma. Sorry, that was a really rambling story. It didn't really go anywhere. Feel free to cut that entire section. Away from my rambling, Snipe, what have you been up to?
Apart from painting my armies, we played some Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. For the channel. That was actually very good.
Yeah, that looked really fun.
Shock horror. It's actually really fun.
Yeah, it looks
a lot more stealthy than I thought it would be. But
is that the new one, or is the new one just the trailer? Has that not been out? Is that not out yet?
I don't think that there's Wolfenstein: The New Order. Then there's Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, which is a prequel. To the New Order, and then there's Wolfenstein 2 coming out.
Wolfenstein: The New Colossus.
Fucking whatever. Just number things, you assholes.
Yeah, but if they call it Wolfenstein 2, then people go.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Well, the thing is, there's like, how many Wolfenstein games are there? There's like 6.
More than 2.
Well, yes, there is more than 2.
I'm not wrong.
And that's not even including the super old Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein 3D.
No, the one before that.
Wolfenstein 3.
No.
Wolfenstein D.
No.
Wolfenstein D.
It's like a weird, like, top-down, like, RPG almost, like, game. That's why it's like Wolfenstein 3D. It wasn't made by id, they just got the rights to it.
Yeah. I believe you. As long as you can eat dog food, it's a Wolfenstein game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Skyrim hats.
Finding Skyrim hats.
It's fine.
Because, I guess, and like Nuka-Cola as well, it's like, it's Bethesda. I'm surprised it fucking works. That's a rant for another day.
But are they the developer, or are they just the publisher?
Publisher.
Yeah, that's why it's functional.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, sorry guys, this is just too functional.
Yeah, you're making our own games look bad.
Yeah, so you gotta fuck it up a lot.
Yeah.
So
I
it looks
enjoy
like it's
Bethesda
barely
games,
held together.
but they do sometimes not function.
Sometimes.
I'm just
being
angry at
generous.
them.
I've got a beer in hand, I'm allowed to be generous.
What? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I've had 2 sips, therefore I'm drunk.
Okay, that's fair, yeah. But yeah, so I played a lot of that. Quite fun. I really need to play the rest of it, because I'm actually surprised at how much that game actually made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Because I'm a miserable fucking arsehole.
No.
I hide it well, but yeah, like the whole hot dog thing, that fucking crippled me. That was beautiful.
It's good.
It's fucking beautiful. And the whole grammar Nazi thing, that made me...
Yeah.
Oh, God. I was like, after we were recording, I just occasionally was like, grammar Nazi. It just stuck with me. It was so damn funny. But no, I enjoy that. Even if you have to kill, like, murder cyborg dogs.
Yeah, I watched that bit. I was like, can we not just, like, avoid this bit? Just make them friends. Just make friends. You have dog food on you, presumably, at all times.
No, I've eaten it all.
Oh.
That's why they don't like me, because I'm eating all their dog food.
Fair.
And plus, like, we were all only pretending. All the puppies are fine.
Yes.
They were stunt dogs.
They were stunt dogs. And nobody died. They just got really big boo-boos.
Oh.
Except the Nazis, they died.
They died. I felt nothing.
Oh dear.
Apart from that, and paying my... Oh, God. So, I've been watching American Horror Story on Netflix.
Yes.
I'd heard when this... Because this is a good while old now, because I always get to these things.
Yeah, is this a
after
new
a while.
thing? Or is this...
No.
It's from like 2011, the
Yeah,
first series is, I think.
I think they've had a series recently.
Yeah, I think so.
In, like, the grand scheme of things, but yeah, so I watched the first season, which I'd heard was supposed to be really good. I'd heard people were like, this is beautifully, fantastically written, so genuinely frightening, and so gory. Fuck off, is it?
Yeah, I hope the people that told you that, you don't speak to them anymore.
I don't think I do, so that's something. Oh my god, so I was watching it. I didn't really have many preconceptions going in. I was just like, well, I am a hard bastard to please, so I'm just gonna try and keep an open mind. That didn't last long. The show really just whittled away my goodwill so quickly. Okay. The first season is called Murder House. I bet you can't guess what it's about.
Sounds like a lovely place to go on holiday.
Yeah.
I would like to point out, because I looked at this earlier, that is a retroactive name that's been applied to it.
Okay, well, like, in the series, they refer to this house that the family lives in as, like Murder House, and there's, like, tours that come and pull up in front of the house and going, here are all the people who have been horrifyingly murdered here, and these are their stories, and they lived in the murder house, and... So, like, family goes to move in, like... Old Ross Geller.
What?
Old Ross Geller,
Oh.
Goldie Hawn, and shit teenager move into this house.
Well,
What?
okay.
I feel your descriptions of them are only adding to confusion, because doesn't...
Okay.
These are not the actors that play them.
No, but okay, the dad looks like a ripped Ross Geller,
Okay.
who's a bit old. And the mum's just got the most perfect Goldie Hawn hair. Seriously, it's glamorous as shit, and I don't know how she manages it. And the daughter's just a shithead teenager, because they've always got to have shithead teenager.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They'll move into this house because mum's had this horrifying miscarriage, and it's really fucked up their marriage, and while mum was really upset about having lost her baby, dad went and fucked one of his psychology students because he was hurting too. Yeah, they try and kind of paint you, like, sympathetic at this guy, and I'm just like, no, he's just scum. I mean, like, none of them are particularly nice people, but they kind of just notice that. So they move into this big old house that's being sold for, like, no money. It's really weird. And I'm sitting here going, this is the beginning of every cliche horror film where a bunch of white people go into a house and go, oh my god, it's so cheap. Are those rust stains? Oh well, I'm sure a little love and elbow grease will get them out. Well, you know, the murderer's literally just sat upstairs drinking a beer.
Yeah.
And they buy it. Because
You would have thought their address gave it away. What's your new address? Well, it's Murder House, 3
it's 666
Murder Lane.
Murder House. Exactly.
It's the fucking Maud house from Metalocalypse.
Yeah. So they move in, and the father is a psychiatrist, so he's seeing patients in his house. I mean, I guess, sure. There's a maid there as well. There's this spooky old lady maid with red hair, and she's got like a glass eye. And she's like, oh yes, I've always cleaned this house. I'm very good at cleaning. And like, she's like Femme Torgo, but not at all. I just kind of put her into that box. And the woman's like, that's fine. And she takes her into the house and goes, this is maid. And Dad looks at her and sees this smoking hot redhead, like with like a really low cut top on. Like the maid outfit's like not even covering her ass, and she's got hold up stockings. And she's like, hello, I'm here to clean your house. And he's like, okay, that's fine. And then like it never comes up at all. Like not one of them will just go, yeah, like, the maid is a bit creepy, and I wonder what happened to her eye. Like, it never comes up. They're just like, the women see an older lady maid dressed modestly, and the guys see, like, this super hot stripper maid who's going around and, like, cleaning stuff with, like, her ass in the air, going, oh, it's so hard to clean these hard wooden floors, and shit like that.
Well, what is it? Like, one of the first thing that happens is she pretty much mounts the dad.
No, he opens the door in the house, and she's just sat there with her legs open, masturbating, and he's like, oh my. So he shuts the door, goes into his bedroom, tears all of his clothes off, and whacks off onto a lamp while staring out the window. What? A normal reaction!
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd all do that.
Yeah, because I just love it how they frame this guy as, like... Because he and his wife hadn't had sex for like a year because, you know, the miscarriage and the fact that he'd been putting his dick in students because it's kind of a bit gross. And that's kind of like, to the point where it shows him as like he is physically unable to contain himself. And it's kind of like, that's kind of throwing men under the bus there, but whatever, you've got a story.
Yeah.
And like the maid just keeps like dry humping him everywhere he goes, and then he starts seeing a patient called Tate, who's like, oh, kind of like, I fantasize about walking to my school and shooting it up, and shit like that. And as it goes on and on, there's an older lady, Constance, who lives next door, and she comes in with her daughter Addie, who, honestly, I love Addie. Adelaide, the daughter, she's great. She's an actress with Down syndrome, and she's the cutest damn thing. And she just keeps going up to people going, you're gonna die here. And like Constance, she comes in and goes, oh, she always says that, never mind. And then just kind of ushers her out. And like, so as it goes on, freaky shit starts happening, and pretty much every episode it shows you like a flashback of, oh, this is a couple that used to live in a house, and then they got murdered, and it was terrible. And then then they literally just knock on the door. And they're like, hi, could I have a look at this house? Because they want to sell it because freaky shit's been happening. And they just wander, like, they are talking and interacting physically with ghosts. And
so the people that were in the house previously...
Yeah, the dead people are coming back as ghosts, and, like, they don't notice. Like, even to the point where, like, there's I think it's the original guy who built the house, his wife, she, like, shot herself through the mouth, so she's got, like, a big exit wound in the back of her head. It's just not noticed. So the woman walks in, she's like, what is this decor? And like, okay.
I'd like the idea if the ghost of this woman, like, as she walks along, there's a faint whistling sound.
That would have given it so much, like, I would have given it credit for that. But yeah, like, the mum takes the original lady of the house into the kitchen, and if you guys were showing someone around your house, would you think this was weird? The woman kind of clutches her pearls, points at the pastor arm, and goes, what is that device? It's like, it's a big fancy tap.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh, it's dreadful. You know, it's like, she literally might as well just be wearing a sign going, I died in this house, in brackets, I'm a ghost, and then a drawing of a ghost. That's how obvious it is.
Ghost emoji.
Ghost emoji. Yeah. This is fucking like 100-year-old ghost is using ghost emoji.
The thing that I saw some of it.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta mention the gimp suit as well, but.
Well, I was just going to mention how, because it's the murder house and it's full of ghosts. Can you guess how some of those murders happened? Turns out the ghosts like killing people. At least some of them do.
Yeah.
Because, ghosts can kill people, but what I find...
Physically, they can kill people. They can also consume liquid and eat.
Yeah.
Some of the ghosts are shown as drinking or eating. Like,
I like how you phrased it as consume liquid, not drink.
Okay.
Which makes me think that sexy ghosts I'm more interested in now.
Sexy ghost. Yeah. Okay, how could she consume liquid in a way that you'd be interested in sexy ghost?
And the ghost can fuck, yes.
Yeah, the ghost can fuck. Which leads me to a very interesting point.
Okay.
This is going to be spoilerific, so... In, like, the first episode, the dad finds a gimp suit in the attic, and he's like, oh, that's kinky, I'll throw it out. So he throws it out. And then from then on, you just see this fucking dumbass wandering around in a gimp suit, just staring at people like, there. I think it's supposed to be scary.
Okay.
But, like, they'll be watching TV and someone will walk past in a gimp suit, and how they're not like... Because it's, like, vinyl. It's like, how did they not hear that fucker? Like, what's that fucking squeaking? It's the ghost, like, trying not to make noise. Walking like John fucking Wayne. But, yeah.
Yeah.
So... The husband goes on this big tirade about, like, because he starts macking on the mum, and they start making out, and she's like, oh, I don't want to have sex, and he goes fucking bananas, because he's like, oh, we haven't had sex in a year, and I'm really fucking angry, and I want to have sex, and she's like...
He's already had sex with a lamp, what's he spaffed
on? Yeah, he's already spaffed on a lamp, what does he want?
Yeah.
That's like every man's dream, right?
Oh, lamps.
Ooh, dirty lamps.
He's so easy to turn on. Hooray!
It's like flicking a switch. Yeah, so they're arguing about how he wants to get his end away and she doesn't, and then like he kind of like forces her to kiss him, and then she gets into it and they have like a hate fuck.
Okay.
Because and then like the next night she's lying in bed and she turns around and there's just the gimp in like somehow he managed to creep up on her with all that vinyl. He's just standing in the doorway.
A lot of talcum powder was required.
A lot of talcum powder. And apparently ghosts can use talcum powder as well. So, and she's like, "Oh, that's a bit kinky." And of course, he's like, you know, you sit there and go, "I know that's not the dad. The dad's downstairs walking in the nude, putting his hand over the fucking stove for some reason." And basically, the gimp fucks the mum.
Oh.
And like, yeah, and it's like, okay, that's not okay, but whatever. You carry on, and then it turns out the mum's pregnant. And you sit there and go, it's a
baby
ghost
gimp.
Baby gimp, yeah. Like, she's like, can you hear the baby kick? Kick.
But it's a baby ghost gimp.
It's a baby ghost gimp. That's exactly what it is, though. It's a shiny rubber baby. It's a ghost.
Shiny Rubber Baby is possibly the best contender for the name of this podcast that we're not going to use.
Excellent, thank you. So it goes on and more ghosts start showing up, and the daughter's getting really involved with this Tate ghost and...
Taint ghost.
And they're all... Tate... No, his name's Tate, not Taint.
Oh, right, okay.
And like you know, you're learning more about the stories about the ghosts and how the guy who built the house and his wife Nora... He was like he had like a Frankenstein complex, so he like stitched bat wings to piglets and shit.
Right.
Because of course.
Yeah, why not?
And she has a baby, and I can't remember what happens to her baby, but it dies, and they're like, no, the baby's dead, and the dad's like, one sec. So he like does some weird operations with it, and he comes in when she's at dinner. He's like, oh, the baby's in the nursery, and the baby's fine, and she goes up, and then she comes back down, she's got claw marks all over her tits, and like, I tried to nurse him, he didn't like it. And so it's like, okay, so you've made like a weird monster baby, and the monster baby shows up like twice in the basement, and then nothing is ever done with it.
Well, yeah, why would you want to introduce a monster baby and then do stuff with it?
No, it's literally, you see it twice, I think. Like, you see it when... I think Tate attacks this girl from the daughter's school to try and stop her from being a twat or something. And then you see, like, flashes of this weird, like, kind of, like, monster, and she gets, like, a big claw mark in her face, and then you see, like, in a flashback of Tate going into the basement, and I think the weird, freaky, like, monster baby's name is Thaddeus, and it tries to attack him, and the mum comes in and goes, oh no, just tell him to go away and he won't be able to hurt you anymore. And then that's literally it.
Okay.
You don't see or hear any more of the demon ghost baby.
Good.
Even if it is, I mean, I thought it was like, that would be kind of interesting if it was still alive. But I mean, then again, it's like, it'll be like 200 years old, but whatever. It's just nothing is done with it, which is kind of a running theme with this show. So they keep gimping out, like, the gimp keeps just, like, squeaking about the house. And just showing up and squeaking everywhere.
I can't imagine this being scary.
This is the thing, it's not scary, and it's not gory.
Not particularly.
It's not, I mean, it's like, yeah, you get blood and stuff, but it's just like, eh.
And when I was, like, because I probably saw, like, cumulatively, like, maybe 3 episodes of the show.
Well, like, and anytime something stupid happened, I'd rewind it, grab you, and go, you have to watch this bullshit.
I think the only gory thing I saw in the little bits that I kind of gleaned of it was, because they bring in the whole Black Dahlia murders into it.
Yeah, that made me feel a bit cranky, if I'm honest. Kind of like, yeah, the woman shows up, and she's like, hi, my name's Elizabeth Short, and I'm like, wait a fucking minute.
What, you mean because they take someone who was a legitimate real person who died and then have her have sex with a ghost?
No, they give her a lesbian scene just to confuse the dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's a bit funny.
I mean, I know it was a while ago, but like...
Yeah, but that still makes... It's like, I've seen... like I said to you, I've seen her crime scene pictures. That's not okay. And, like, this is what really bugged me, though, because you see her, like, in a flashback, going to this dentist who lives in the murder house, and she's like, well, I don't have any money. to repay you with. But, I'm sure we can, wink, wink, come to some kind of agreement. The guy's like, fine. And he's like, oh, I'll have to take off your flower, because she's wearing a flower in her hair. And she goes, oh no, it's not a lily. It's a dahlia. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. Fuck off. It's not black. It's not a black dahlia. The flower I'm wearing. So I'll put that away. Because, black dahlias are pretty rare. They're murder to get a hold of, don't you know? I was, honestly, if that
you
happened...
may be paraphrasing slightly here.
No, I'm just
Slightly.
like, that is so on the nose. It's like,
Yeah.
How stupid do you think your audience is? And, like, as this goes on, the ghosts are doing more, like, freaky things to make them do stupid shit. So, like, the dad keeps waking up and just doing dumb shit or falling asleep outside with a shovel in his arms. And then, like, the woman shows up that he's been having an affair with and is like, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm pregnant. Come down to Boston so I can have an abortion. And so he goes down there and doesn't tell his wife because he's a fucking scumbag. And then comes back and it turns out the girl hasn't had an abortion and she shows up and she's like, you need to support our family and it'll just be us three. And she does a complete 180 on her character where before she was just like, yeah, it'd be nice to be with you, but whatever. And, we can't have a kid right now. It's just too much. And now she's like proper bunny boiler. We need to be a family. And, like, there's another guy who's got, like, half of his face is burnt off. His name is something Harvey. I remember it because I'm like, yeah, it's Harvey Dent.
Is something double-barreled, or is that two separate names?
That's double-barreled.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, he was all very well breeding, you see.
Ah, fair enough.
So he hits the bunny boiler in the face with a shovel and just kills her. And then, because she died on the property, there's the bunny boiler ghost wandering around. And she fucks, like, the old woman next door's, like, toy boy boyfriend just to see if she could.
See, that leads to, like, a part that is the thing...
Because, like, ghost pregnancies are a thing. Because Gimpy Man got mum pregnant.
I think it's I think it's more that a dead person can get a living person pregnant, not the other way around.
Oh yeah, that'd be stupid. Sorry.
Well.
Excuse me, everyone. That's pretty dumb.
But yeah, that leads up to something which is what I was going to mention earlier, which is one thing that I saw, which it was so just daft, where this couple they're fucking, and then one of them kills the other one.
Right.
Yeah.
The ghost kills the living guy, and then the guy just like instantly gets he's like instantly a ghost like standing next to her and is like, oh wow. And then they just kind of chill about it.
Yeah, and he doesn't care.
He's not like, you fucking killed me.
No, because he's
You
kind
dick.
of like Elizabeth Short in the way that she's like, oh, it's okay that I got murdered horribly because that made me famous.
Yeah.
And he's like super, because because did you know the Black Dahlia murderer was a ghost? It was a ghost that
Yep.
cut up those people.
Yep.
So, like, he does the same thing he did with Elizabeth Short's body, and then they send off a human to go and dump it somewhere. And they're like, he's like, yeah, I'm so rad. Could you get me, like, some newspaper clippings? Because I'm so stoked about this. And it's like, why are you so happy about being dead? I mean, I guess you can still eat, drink, wear clothes, and fuck people.
Honestly, if it like hearing the rules of this, because from what I understand from your descriptions of it,
I'll tell you if you're wrong.
is that basically if you're in this house, if you die in this house,
You die on the property.
you come back as a ghost, and as the ghost, you can do pretty much everything a living person can do,
Like clean cupboards.
except you can't leave the house. And if
Oh, you can leave the house on Halloween.
okay, but if someone was to assault you, then you'll just heal up by the next day.
Well,
or
no,
whatever.
it's kind of like you'll get, like, if someone stabs you or bashes you up, like, I think I don't know, it doesn't really say if there's, like, a healing period.
Because I
there is.
remember seeing a bit where one of the ghosts beats the shit out of one of the other ghosts, and he's basically like, yeah, when you heal, I can just do it again.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay.
So
yeah, ghosts can bleed.
So say hypothetically, if our house was the murder house, and we were killed and came back as ghosts, because we don't leave the house much and we try wherever possible to order things online, would our lives change one iota being ghosts?
Well, I mean, we probably wouldn't have to pay that much for groceries every week.
Yeah, and I guess we couldn't play Pokemon Go, but that's about it.
We don't need to sleep, so we could probably be way more productive as ghosts.
Yeah, actually, we could get like a more active stream schedule.
Don't kill each other.
Hey, we don't live in the murder house. Okay. We're not
we live in the
stupid.
shit house. So they the woman, like, she feels a bunch of pains in her stomach, and then she goes and she gets a scan, and the woman looking at it fucking faints, and then she quits the next day because that's apparently writing horror. And the woman mum goes to the woman, and she's like, "Oh no, your kid had like cloven hooves," and I'm like, okay, that's fine. The woman next door hires a medium off Craigslist, because where else are you going to get one, right? And the woman does seem to be legit. I mean, apparently it takes no effort to actually commune with ghosts because they're fucking everywhere, and they can literally just reach out and pull on your nose hairs if they want. To literally anyone. And
I'm just imagining that they're sat in the living room, it's all like a spooky scene, and they're all holding hands and doing this like ritual or whatever. And they're like, ghosts speak to you, and there's just one just like he's got his head in the fridge, closes the fridge and gets the beer out and goes, "Yeah, what?"
And they're like, "Those aren't yours, you didn't buy those." And he's like, "Well, I can't go to the shop, Vivian."
Commune with me, spirits. Hey, sup?
Okay. But yeah, it's just making the supernatural so boring, but also trying to make it super scary. But yeah, and the psychic's like, "So do you know what happens when they elect a new pope?" And the woman's like, "No." It's like, he goes into the room of tears, which is called so because it's got loads of joy and sorrow in it, and then they give him the Pope box, and then he opens the Pope box, which has a piece of paper in it, which details the end of the earth, which is a child born of spirit and human. It's like, okay, so mum is pregnant with the Antichrist.
That's the ghost gimp baby.
That's the ghost gimp baby. So apparently this was expected. Like, the Pope knows that there's a gimp out there who's trying to have kids with a human woman. So the old woman, like, after of course, the mum dies in childbirth because they gotta make her a fucking ghost somehow, and the daughter killed herself like episodes previous, but she didn't realise it because she's a dumb bum. And then, like, a bunch of evil ghosts, like, make the dad hang himself. They, like, throw him into a noose from the top of the fucking stairs, and then he's dead. And then, like, the old woman walks in and goes, "You stupid fucking arsehole." And he stood next to her going, "They killed me. Oh no. Oh well, I guess I'll hang out with my wife now, and my whole family's dead." And then, like, the old woman steals the demon baby. And, because, of course, like, she raises it as her own. And then it cuts to, like, 3 years later, and she's in a salon talking, and she has this big monologue. This show is very, very big into monologues, or, "Oh my god, person who I know, when I was 3 years old, I made myself a promise," and then they'll go on and monologue for a good while. And she's monologuing about how she's always dreamt that she was meant for something wonderful, and it was this kid, and then she just fucks off back home. And she's, like, calling for the babysitter, and she's just not answering. And then she goes into the kitchen, there's, like, a blood handprint on the fucking fridge, and there's, like a bunch of cookies on the floor surrounded by a puddle of blood. And then she goes into the kid's room, and there's just, like, the babysitter's on the floor with a throat slash, and the kid sat there in, like, the most textbook, this is horror kind of look. It's like this blonde kid sitting there covered in blood, just smiling. And it's like, that's scary. That's so scary. And, like, the woman walks up and goes, "What am I gonna do with you?" And then it just ends. And it's like, okay, so that was dumb.
And the thing is, American Horror Story is like an anthology series, so every season is completely different. So anything that's not answered in that first season never getting answered.
Yeah, like, what about, like, Basement Mutant? Nothing? No, not interested. Yeah. I mean, the second season, I've stopped watching that because that was just fucking dog shit. It's called Asylum because, crazy people are dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, my problems with that notwithstanding, like, it feels to me like the writers just go, what are things that are really, really horrible? So, rape, like, other stuff like that, like, really, like, violent murders and things like that. Like, it starts off with an alien abduction. And they put this guy in the asylum because they think he's murdered his wife, who is a woman of color, and it was like back in the 60s or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, because he's a Caucasian man, they're like, oh yeah, you just didn't like the fact that you were going against the grain, so you killed your wife. And all of these other women, I guess. Yeah, that was probably you.
Well, they think that he's a serial killer with a great name.
Oh, the best name. Would you like to reveal it? It truly strikes fear in the heart of men.
Because I've seen more of this second season. The second season is... there is a serial killer who wears human faces.
Leatherface.
Like Leatherface, but less cured. Just raw. Okay. Raw human face.
Squelchy masks.
Nice. His name is Bloody Face.
Oh, Bloody Face.
But yeah, it's kind of like constantly swapping back and forth, because like it starts off with Adam Levine and this girl just having a photo shoot in this asylum in, I guess, present day. And he gets like his arm torn off, and she's like, "Oh no!" and runs away, and then comes back, and she's getting chased by Bloody Face. And it's shit. It's just like
let's not beat about the bush. It's shit.
Yeah, shit.
What I like is how you went for ages and ages describing the minutiae of the plot of the first season, and the second one it's just shit.
Because honestly, I just felt like I said, they've gone through like the list of like, does your mature horror writing checklist, does it have rape in it? Yes. Does it have someone found in like it's so creepypasta, like, oh, we went into our stable and our son was sat there naked eating our prized cow's heart. It's like, that, what? Oh, and yeah, he's possessed by Satan, because we have demonic possession, we have aliens, we have fucking, I don't know what Bloody Face is supposed to be, but it seems like it's just a couple of teenagers wearing human skin. Because, you know, teenagers, am I right? Cheeky little things, always running around in human skin. But yeah, like they had the old doctor there is like a Nazi doctor.
Oh yeah,
he was basically like they talk about like, oh, like, because there's an episode called like I Am Anne Frank, where this woman shows up and says that she's Anne Frank, and that she recognizes the doctor from a concentration camp, and like she's got the tattoo and everything, and it's like the head nun is like, holy shit, this is Anne Frank. Fuck, well, yeah, that doctor's bad. And it turns out, nah, she's just crazy. She's just like, she's not Anne Frank, she's just nuts. Her name's Charlotte, she's from fucking upstate New York or whatever.
I think I might have actually just thought of a way to make the series make sense.
Only stick to one plot line.
Yeah, because it just kind of throw everything at the wall. No, so one of the interesting things about the show is that, as well as being an anthology series of each series being its own thing, that they use the same pool of actors for each season. Which, honestly,
I really like that. I think that is a very interesting idea.
Yeah, so they're playing different roles and stuff.
Okay.
One of the actors is Zachary Quinto, is his name?
Yes.
Yeah.
Eyebrows.
So
I use that term affectionately.
So my personal belief is that the entire show is actually a holodeck simulation that Spock is running.
Why is Spock so mean-spirited?
And he's playing one of the roles in it, and that's why it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because he hasn't written this, obviously.
Oh no, Spock would write something way better.
Because Spock, you know, I don't think he'd be the one to write a holodeck program. And yes, I know that the holodeck technology comes along significantly after Spock was that young, but shut up, I'm trying to make this work. And so someone else who's just a bad writer has written that, and Spock's just trying to see it through.
Oh, he's reading someone's story, essentially, and trying to give them critique.
And that's why it doesn't make sense, because it's a holodeck simulation.
That actually makes me feel a lot better about it.
All right.
Either that, or it's just a shit series.
So why, after the first one, did he then do it again? Is he just really good friends with this guy, and he's like, okay, yeah, no, I've got some critique for this, but I'll read your next one, it's fine.
Maybe
that's the second draft.
Maybe this is Kirk's. This is what Kirk does.
Yes, it's just that bad.
Kirk
is a terrible fiction writer.
In the reboot of Star Trek, they invent holodecks earlier, and
that makes
Kirk,
sense.
Instead of being an interesting character, just writes holodeck novels. What I'm saying is that in the reboot one, he eventually just becomes Tom Paris.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That was a long build-up to that one joke at the end.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
He explained like a series and a half of show just to make one passing joke.
That's because you gotta commit. You're gonna do the bad jokes. You gotta really run with it.
In fairness, in fairness, that was entirely off the cuff because there had to be some punchline at the end of that.
Yeah. But so you would not recommend watching them?
The first series is so stupid. It's actually kind of entertaining.
Okay.
The second one is just exploitation. It's just kind of gross.
But not exploitation as like a description of genre.
No,
it's
just exploitative.
Yeah, it is not exploitation, it is exploitative.
Yes.
Okay. Fair
So
enough.
yeah, first season is so dumb, and if you imagine that the gimp squeaks every time he moves somewhere, it makes it really fucking funny.
Also, it's not scary.
No, not really. But that's fine. Not like it was a horror.
Yeah. It is funny, it's called American Horror Story, and you're watching it and going like, I'm not... At this point, story, that's out the window because it's a terrible story. Horror, it's not scary.
But it is American. I mean, I think. It's probably all filmed in fucking Canada.
Yeah, it's supposed to be set in California, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if you learn it's like, oh yeah, this is actually filmed in Quebec.
Yeah.
I'd love that if every single part of this title was a lie.
That would be perfect. Right, well, if you're still here for whatever reason, I'm sorry.
As always, we're sorry.
Thank you. If you've gotten this far, good on you. I don't know why you would, but I mean, grats. You've succeeded your experience, Beige. I'm proud of you. You'll make a fine Klingon warrior one day. And we'll see you next time, I suppose.
Yes.
Alright, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.